See, in this life, there will always be things that will happen to us that are not in our control. And that is the exact moment, the right opportunity for us to practice how to control our impulses, our impression, and our reaction. Let me share with you a story. The way we look at things, the way we look at our problems, our situation, can determine what kind of thoughts or emotions we are going to experience. You know, there's one thing I've observed for many people. Whenever we go through stress, difficult emotions, troubling thoughts, or any kind of problem, we often assume we are the only one going through those kind of challenges. But is that really true? Look, every human being on earth, whether rich or poor, male or female, is facing some kind of difficulty in his or her life. It might be in different ways. The only difference is that what kind of meaning you are going to give to your problem, what kind of interpretation you are going to give to your situation. That is the only difference. Because the way we look at things, the way we look at our problems, our situation, can determine what kind of thoughts or emotions we are going to experience. And that is why Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "See, people are not disturbed by events or things, but by their judgment towards them." And I actually experienced this myself. Let me tell you about a colleague I work with. I work in a warehouse and we often work together. So let's say Alex. So I wanted a help because I wanted to move a freezer from one location to another and it's too heavy for me. So I call on, let's say Alex. Alex, you don't mind please if you can help me to move this freezer because it's too heavy. He didn't respond. So I went closer and I said, Alex, excuse me please, you don't mind if you can help me to move this together? Shut up, Musa. I said, don't ever in your life talk to me like this. This is a lack of respect. Who do you think you are? I'm asking for your help. We're supposed to work together. Who do you think you are? My heart rate goes up. Emotions are everywhere. My thoughts, all kind of negative thoughts I'm getting. I was not feeling good for the rest of the day. And I even avoided him for almost 2 weeks. So eventually, we started talking again. But guess what? He never changed his behavior. Even today, he still shouts at me sometimes. So what changed? Not him, but my perspective towards his behavior changed. And because of that, my reaction towards his behavior changed too. And that is why I love this beautiful quote from Wayne Dyer. He said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now when he shouts at me sometimes, I just seem like a funny man. I just smile. Listen, I know it's not easy to manage our impressions and impulses. It takes practice, probably for the rest of our lives. The rest of our lives? Yes. Yeah. Because in life, we will always face challenges. That's just the fact. That is just the reality. I don't know why up till now we are still surprised when we are faced with challenges, circumstances, situations. We're still surprised like it doesn't supposed to be like that. I don't know which kind of world we are living, but this is the reality. We will always face challenges. And that is why we need to practice for those challenges. See, in this life, there will always be things that will happen to us that are not in our control. And that is the exact moment, the right opportunity for us to practice how to control our impulses, our impression, and our reaction. Let me share with you a story about the great philosopher called Socrates. Most people have doubt over Socrates because he married Xantippe, his wife. So one of his students called Antisthenes asked him, say, but Socrates, why is it that you don't practice what you preach? And Socrates was like, what do you mean? He said, but why can't you educate your wife? She's the most difficult person I've ever seen. She nags a lot, she complains a lot, she gets angry easily. And Socrates replied by saying, and that is the exact reason why I married her. Because if I can handle her, if I can cope with her, I can manage anybody. I can be able to withstand anybody outside there. Do you see what I'm talking about? When we face challenges, when we face difficult people, that is the moment we should practice. You see this muscle? How do you think people get muscle? It's by practicing every day. Every day. If you stop, you go down. Every day, you have to build it. And that is the same way we have to do with our mental toughness. When we face these difficult moments, challenge difficult people, that is the moment, that is the right time to practice your mental toughness. Does that make sense? And even Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, understands this. That's why he said the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And let me tell you this. When you face challenges, difficult moments, difficult people, troubled thoughts or emotion, if you know you cannot process it alone, share it with loved ones. By that, you dilute the pain. You share experience and you learn from the other person. And then you realize you are not alone. There are people out there that are going through similar problem or similar problem like you. Don't do it by yourself. If you know you cannot process it alone, share it with people that you trust. See, the problem is not always the problem as we think. Because sometimes the way we interpret the problem is what creates our emotional reactions to it. You see, we may not always able to control how other people should treat us or should behave to us or how life should be for us. We don't have any control over that. But our reaction, what kind of lens we can see through those problems, is 100% our responsibility. It's 100% in our favor. And that is why it's important to practice whenever you are faced with those life challenges. Because if you become good at it, you are free. You are ready for any kind of challenge that will come in future because you are ready. You know how to handle it. Let's do the work. Let's practice our mental toughness because that is the only way we can get freedom. That is the only way we can focus on the things we can control. Think about it.